Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Madam Web, Tom.
I know.
Excited? Yeah, it's doing the Morbo
Madame
numbers.
Web. It's doing the what now?
The Morbo numbers. Morbius?
Oh shit.
Morbs.
Sure, yeah. No, that's it. Listen, I love the Sony Marvel movies. They're real piles of shit.
This one, I'm kind of excited
I love
for
how
this.
weird and broken and stupid they are. Morbius was a real boring pile of trash. So
I hope this is less boring. I hope it is out of its mind.
yeah.
Like, they don't make any Catwomans anymore, you know? And I want a good Catwoman.
Well, the Venoms have been Catwoman
You're right.
adjacent.
The Venoms are actually, like, almost a little too good. Does that make sense? Or
Right.
like,
They're exemplary trash. They're exemplary trash. So like
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. They're a little bit too good. Like it sets the bar too high for the Sony stuff. But like
Right.
I feel like Sony can carve out a nice little niche for itself just doing the trash ass Marvel movies.
yeah.
Because I
And they have.
can't conceive of what a Craven movie is going to be. I can't wait to watch that pile of
I
crap.
know. Apparently, so Thursday, Madam Web made like $6 million today. So not looking, you know, like it's. I think that's less than Morbius, right? Like this is.
I don't know. I don't
know.
have Morbius's numbers committed to memory.
Yeah, that's fair.
Why would I do that to myself?
I don't know because it just seems
There's
like
lots
something
of
you do.
room for many things in my life, and Morbius's
Mm-hmm.
box office numbers is just I can't find space for it.
All right, that's fair.
Yep.
Anyway,
Hello,
this
everyone.
is Hypecast.
Well, there's a Hypecast.
Hypecast.
It's a show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I'm your co-host Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell. We don't have a guest mostly because of laziness. Like we reached out to someone, they hadn't gotten back to us, and then like I was telling Tom, like we're working on some more news about Israel Palestine, and Tom, you're knee deep in poop, and
Yeah.
It was just
my
like,
house
you know
flooded
what?
with sewage.
yeah, it was one of those weeks where we're like, yeah, it's fine. We're not gonna like. It's not. This is all to say we're very popular. We have lots of friends. Right? Yeah. We
think
just
so.
didn't reach out to anybody this week.
Well, we did, and then that person didn't respond because that person never responds.
Yes.
So here we are.
Yeah. We could have like the next day reached out to someone else. Is all I'm saying. I had no fight in me this week.
That's fair.
Neither
Neither did I.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Getting
picking
my
battles.
ass beat by shit water vomiting itself all over my laundry room, which is what I had to deal with this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom's house is haunted.
Listeners, my house may be cursed.
It's a poltergeist.
I've pulled the records. I'm looking at the survey information. It's not on a burial ground officially, but it might be like an unofficial.
Right. And if it isn't now, it will
Burial-grish.
be, you know.
So I may
we'll
have
get
a
there.
bunch of unofficial ghosts, unofficial
Yeah.
gishes
It's
sliding
the
through
best
here.
kind.
Unofficial copies of Smashing Pumpkins album sliding through my house. Anyway, Dave,
Yeah.
let's thank
What's
some
up?
producers.
All right. Let's do it. Big thank you to @NerdNumbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They get a 0 charisma.
Thank you.
Thank you to a bag full of bags.
Thank you so much.
They get an Aaron Burser.
Thank you.
They get an AJ.
Thank you.
They get an Andrew. Save Papa Alfred. How?
Thank you.
They get an Andrew McGuire. Totally likes movies. Andrew. How?
Thank you.
They get an Asking 7.
Thank you. All right, let me swoop in here. Thank you to Bob Grenville.
Thank you.
Thank you to Bootler Bullison.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brian, who Tom knows.
Hey.
Thank you to Broccoli Loves the Meat Millie.
Thank you.
Thank you to Burrito Wants You to Drink Water, Hit the Gym, and Do the Ska, because they loves y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you to Chester's Prophet.
Thanks.
Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparts Esquire.
Thank
you to Dan Hackroyd.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Dave,
we're greased up.
Let's do a halo jump out of this low-flying plane and cruise through all of these trailers that we have this week.
I think this
Just
is a big trailer
slice
week.
through them like a
adamantium?
knife, like a hot knife that's dressed in a halo suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom Cruise in that one Mission Impossible movie where Henry Cavill got struck by lightning.
The best one.
But only if Tom Cruise was like a knife with legs that made him run really fast.
Right.
So for just that one scene, he was like a knife that was skydiving, but it was a halo jump.
Right. And
then
what are we?
We are going to be like the membrane of the fabric of the universe and the atmosphere that his knife self cut through.
Okay.
Because like these are some hot ass trailers that you could cut through with a knife.
Got it.
Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we had the Super Bowl. Tom, which means we have a bunch of fucking trailers. Starting with obviously Deadpool and Wolverine. Not Deadpool versus Wolverine.
No, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah.
I think they could have gotten away with the versus even if it wasn't. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's so now we're seeing how this is going to work out. Tom from Succession is in the TVA. And yeah, it makes sense that the TVA would be part of this. And they pick up Deadpool and they introduce him to it. And of course, Deadpool adds a whole other element because he is he's self-aware.
The TVA thing breaks it for me. Because the TVA thing seems to be trying to explain why Deadpool is meta.
Right. That is a good point.
Like an in-universe reason for why Deadpool is meta. And it like reminds me of about 10 or 15 years ago when they tried to come up with an in-universe reason in South Park for why Kenny keeps dying and coming back to life.
Right, and it's like, no, it's a narrative joke.
Right, it's
not
a
something
joke.
you have to explain.
Exactly. Like when you explain it, you break it.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So I don't like this idea of like making planning out or mapping out Deadpool's existence to like make it conform with the universe. Like the fact that he was meta was part of the fun of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also, for the record, they don't explicitly say that's what they're going to do, but I think they are too, because they're literally fighting in front of the fucking 20th Century Fox logo that has crashed. And so you have to assume there's going to be this literal metaverse thing that'll happen where
and I don't mind that. Like, because what Deadpool has been good at, like why the Deadpool movies have been successful, in my opinion, is because they do lampoon the superhero movies, right? Like we are under a huge weight of superhero fatigue right now. So I think a third Deadpool movie where he's just completely removing himself from it and going into different movies to address different tropes that have been like singled out and perpetuated by the superhero dominance of the past 10 years. Like I honestly think this is a really smart way to do it. It's sort of like the comic book Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, where at like the end, like it basically is him. He climbs outside of the panel and he kills the writers. Like,
and I hope he does that in this.
He could do it. He could. Yeah. Like, and that's the function of Deadpool. Like, so like Deadpool is a really valuable character right now because of all the superhero fatigue. So having a character who can step outside of it and sort of comment on all the bullshit that's been going on over the past 15 years of the false starts, the franchises that petered out, the weird decisions,
yeah, they say
all the
trailer...
goofiness that happens with studios now who are so beholden to superhero movies. This is a perfect way to lampoon them. It's a perfect way for fans of the genre to get like a sigh of relief. Like, I genuinely think this movie is going to do really well.
I also think it's going to be good.
It will be. I think it will be good. Yeah.
The thing that the trailer goes with, everybody deserves a happy ending, which of course also means a hand joe. But it's clearly implied that they're going to bring back as many lost characters, basically, especially from those early Marvel years. Like, they're absolutely going to bring back like the old Fantastic Four and shit, I think.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And I think the idea is almost like everybody gets to wrap their little thing up. I do think this is my thoughts on this. This movie is going to be good. I don't think it's good for the bigger cinematic universe, meaning that I really think at this point, like my thing in the my suggestion in our doc here was that they should actually find a narrative way for him to just implode the metaverse so you can't do it anymore, because that's honestly what Marvel needs now. Like, they need, like,
he
Deadpool
might do that.
I know,
because that might be the way they explain why the X-Men are in the same unit, like why all these things that have been, like Spider-Man has been kept separate. That may be how they attempt to explain it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more that, like, this is perfect. Deadpool, it just feels like the other Marvel stuff has been getting too much like this. Does that make sense? Where it's like everything else feels like a parody of itself now, where the parody should be Deadpool, where it almost like takes away from Deadpool, where it's like, like, remember when the X-Men showed up in Deadpool 2 and they're all in like one shot and it was funny, and it's like, that's cool. And now we're just doing that in the other superhero films. You know what I mean? Where it's like, what makes Deadpool special as being like extremely meta and mushing together ideas and franchises, we're just sort of doing now. So, like, it's all to say this looks great. It's just like, after this, they really have to fucking I really think Marvel needs to figure their shit out with the stuff with the other stuff.
They really it has to kind of be the end of it, like, unless you can.
The metaverse is so nihilist, and this is the peak of that, but in a good way.
Right, they need to close it. Need to close it.
Yeah. Deadpool's like the White House Correspondents' Dinner, if that makes sense. It's like, all right, we're all having fun. This is the time we all get to have fun. Well, that's such a weird comparison because it's not fun anymore, but you know what I mean, the idea of it. Or like a roast or something. It's the, like you said,
it's
state of Marvel. Let's all have fun. Let's make jokes. But now everything wants to be this level of meta that it doesn't. It's like everything's a mess.
Need to let this thing have its impact.
Yeah.
So
you
we'll
need
see.
to take the other shit seriously. I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. We'll see how well it works. I think Deadpool is the best chance Marvel has right now.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, obviously X-Men is the best chance Marvel has, but Deadpool bridging that gap and commenting on it, like, Deadpool gives everybody like the reprieve sort of that they need from the superhero bullshit. Like, that's sort of the function his movies have been serving.
Right, like, I would argue Deadpool is where we should have gotten the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans back, not the actual Spider-Man film. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Where, like, that film was fun, but, like, that's not the film to do that.
Right, when you spread meta to every character, it's like, well...
Right. What's the point of anything? And it's gotten I don't know.
And I really do suspect they're going to come up with some weird, convoluted in-universe explanation for why Deadpool can see things the way he does.
Right.
And I think that's bad. Like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, we don't need it.
He sees it because he does. Like, that's all the explanation we've ever needed. So
they definitely need. I hope this is a weird concern. I hope that the success of this doesn't make them think like, okay, full speed ahead, everything's good. Because it's like, no, they really need to reassess, despite the success of this.
We'll definitely talk about it more with a news item later on. Let's move on.
Okay. X-Men 97.
This I loved X-Men 90s. Everybody loved X-Men 90s.
Yeah, me too.
I went to Pizza Hut. I got the personal pan pizza meal that got you the 2 video cassettes for Night of the Sentinels. Like,
yep.
I was so into X-Men 90s. X-Men 90s is what, like, I was always a Spider-Man fan, but X-Men 90s is what, like, jump-started my participation in Marvel merchandise and trading cards and comic books and action figures. Like, it was a huge show for me. X-Men 97 looks like a piece of shit. Like, this looks like they gave them $100 to animate 10 episodes. The animation looks so bad. It doesn't look like the original. There's this.
All right.
I want to say one thing really quick before there's this weird thing that I've noticed across a couple of media properties for X-Men specifically, that it's like referencing the 90s, like Marvel Heroes, which was the MMO from a few years ago, and also Marvel Snap, which is the current digital collectible card game that you can play on your smartphone, and then this show. And they all have like 90s X-Men variants and stuff you can get, and then obviously X-Men 97, this show is a direct sequel to that show, and it's meant to be in the same style. It's meant to have come out in the 90s. But there's like an amnesia here. Like, it's like they don't remember what it actually looked like.
Well,
like,
all right,
it's like the show is doing a 90s style, but it's not the style of the original show.
So my theory is that they did just give him $100, because here's the thing. I also loved X-Men the Animated Series. I used to play in the playground. We'd play X-Men, all that stuff, all the stuff. I don't think this needs to come back, and I think that maybe they're like, we're not sure if this should come back, so we're going to give it a real modest budget. Because here's the thing, I'm not sure how you make this now.
Well,
and what I mean by that is, do they make it for people our age, or do you make it for kids? And if you make it for kids, are kids going to like this bullshit? Do you make it earnestly? Do you make it meta? Do you make it like Harley Quinn? Like, is it just going to be a straight up, we're just doing X-Men again, the animated series? If you are, I'm not sure if like young kids are going to glom onto that or not. I'm honestly not sure. And it's all to say, I'm not sure they know either, and they're just doing it to see if it works out. And so I don't, that's my guess. Like, I don't think they're putting that much effort into this, because they're not certain if it's going to be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to watch it.
The animation really looks bad.
It doesn't look great.
It really looks bad. And that's all I can say. Like, it looks like they made 10 episodes based on the fact that the 90s X-Men show was really popular. People really like it. Like, obviously, everybody loves that show. It was a great show.
Great theme. They include the theme. And
it gave, it springboarded a lot of people into Marvel fandom. Like, it's a singular show for a lot of reasons. It was one of the first, I think it might even be the first Saturday morning cartoon that was not serialized, but had a continuing narrative. There was a lot of things to like about it, but it really does seem like this reboot was just because it was announced along with Disney Plus, right? So it was announced like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
wow.
It was clearly just something they threw against the wall because they knew they needed to attract subscribers to Disney Plus. Right. And it's 10 episodes that may or may not get renewed. It's a show that doesn't look like the original. It doesn't. Like, the character designs are the same, but the way it's animated is totally different. The voices are different. Like, the voices are definitely different. They have the same guy doing Wolverine, but he's 30 years older now, and the voice sounds fucking wrong. Like, it's, the same thing with the Futurama reboot that's on Hulu right now.
Oh, have you listened to The Simpsons lately? Have you watched the Simpsons episode?
No, but I watched
it's
Futurama.
It's like, oh my God, they sound so fucking old.
And Billy West sounds so fucking tired.
They all sound old. They're all because they are old. They're older.
Right, because
it's
they've
not
been
their
doing this
fault
for
the
40
record.
fucking years. Like, why?
Yeah, for the record,
anyway,
that's not their fault. But it's like, my goodness,
it's just like this. Everything that could be joyful about this show seems to be depleted by everything I know about it.
Right.
I don't know.
I guess
It should. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch the shit out of it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm still excited about it because it's stupid X-Men. I just think I'm just curious what Marvel is deal with X-Men is. All right, so I'm sure we've asked this. Does Fox still own them or like? No. Okay, because what's weird to me is like, do they not? Are they like trying to figure out if X-Men is popular?
They're trying to figure out if they can integrate X-Men into the Avengers Marvel Comics universe they've created already.
And it's really weird.
And the
it's
answer
like
is yes,
know.
obviously, easily, but like they're making it really hard for some reason.
I know we said this already.
Will people accept Magneto in this world? Yes, they fucking will. Yes, they will. Just do it.
They seriously just needed to, after Endgame, go, and we're done with that. Now we're starting an entirely new universe. Here's the X-Men. All we wanted since Endgame was like, give us X-Men. I'll take X-Men. One X-Men, please. And it's just so weird that it's taking them so fucking long. And they're like, here's what we'll give you. The animated series again. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I guess. Just put them in the movies.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
I don't know, it's weird.
There's like, yeah, and they're like, they keep trying to, like, the Marvels ends with like Beast in a different universe, but it's not like the X-Men universe we knew from the movies, but it's Kelsey Grammer doing the voice, I believe. And it's again where it's like, just stop trying to make it all fit in one universe. Like, just go, here's some X-Men films. It doesn't have to be in the fucking universe. You don't have to think of a weird way to fit them in. Just make some X-Men films, for the love of Christ.
Yeah, no, they're trying to fit them in.
Yeah, and it's because of that. It's like it's taking them like 10 years to get to X-Men.
Well, it's what I was saying about
and it's
Deadpool,
like this,
where it's like they're trying to like slide him in with the TVA, and it's like,
right.
Why are you trying to explain why he knows everything?
Right.
He just does.
Weird.
Like it's.
So yeah, I appreciate them bringing back these cartoons. It's a funny idea. I agree with you. It doesn't look great, but I am going to watch the fuck out of it because of course I am.
Of course, who wouldn't? It looks like a real piece of shit. It's animated like a flip book.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, you want
Wolverine
this shit, don't
sounds
you?
like an asshole.
We're gonna slurp up this shit.
I know it's the same voice actor, but he's aged too much. He sounds terrible in this trailer.
We're gonna slurp it up, Tom.
He sounds awful. Yeah, let's move on.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
This is a remake of the first movie.
Yes. It's really funny because Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Tom, you saw that one.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I have not seen any of these.
Okay. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is objectively, I think, a bad movie. They knew because they pivoted right after, and they made Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes, which I will say are very good, surprisingly good. Toby Kebbell is amazing in them.
Right, it's directed by
Andy
Matt
Serkis.
Reeves too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the most amazing thing about him is the mocap apes deliver some really nuanced and good performances. It's sort of this idea that they're all like, I don't know if you know this, but we don't treat primates very well. And so there's like, the apes that you can tell were like tested on or like in zoos. And it's about their like kind of this trauma manifesting into this rage. And you can see it all happening, right? Where like, fuck, they're gonna like, there's this like half piece, this whole idea of like the world is falling apart. We're trying to work with these fucking smart apes. And like, there's some people who want peace, some don't. And then it's all going to fall apart. So you're kind of waiting, and it's a little heartbreaking. And it's like a genuinely decent two films. And what I think made them unique is that we were all watching them go to this place that we knew it was going to end at. Meaning we knew it was all going to become Planet of the Apes. If they put that much care into this, then it's probably good. But I also got the same thing where I saw this and was like, well, now we've gotten to the thing, and now it's just a remake.
This is just Planet of the Apes. Yeah.
Right. I know why they did it. I do miss costumes. Like the Tim Burton one was really cool because of the costumes.
The original was cool.
Yeah,
It's classic with the costumes.
Yeah, and I guess you could argue that
the fucking costumes.
You could
what
argue
are you
that
doing?
mocap is like they think of it as the evolution of that, right?
Right. It's also the way to make your movie forgettable.
Yeah. That's the thing. There is a fan base, weirdly enough, I think, for these Planet of the Apes.
They made like 8 of them. Of course there's a fan base. And people love Planet of the Apes. People love the Planet of the Apes sequels. I don't know who those weirdos are. They're all crap. The only good one is the original. But as long as we're playing this game, we have worked our way forward to the original movie in the prequels. And based on this trailer, it's just a reboot of the original movie.
Yeah, it's just funny how that went, where they did all these prequels all the way back to this. It's Planet of the Apes is pretty dumb. Like, it's called Planet of the Apes, you know?
It's only good because of its ending. It's only good because of that. Like, that's the only reason anyone gives a fucking shit about Planet of the Apes is because of the ending of the original. And then, they made 8 sequels or whatever. However, there was a lot. They jawsed the shit out of it. And now we're doing reboot prequels that are leading up to the original because, again, we recognize the only good fucking movie, the only good idea was the original movie. So we made a franchise out of prequels. And now we've come back to the original movie, which the only good idea is him seeing the Statue of Liberty on the beach. That's the only good idea of the Planet of the Apes.
It reminds me of like Aliens or Terminators, where you have to think about like what made this successful to begin with, right? Like what makes a certain franchise a franchise, or Jaws. And Planet of the Apes, again, Dawn and War did something interesting, which is like you think of the Tim Burton one. It's like he felt compelled to have a twist at the end, because I think in his mind that is, like you're saying, the twist is a huge component, right? Where we all remembered it because of that fucking twist. So Tim Burton was like, well, I need to have a twist too. Dawn and War didn't feel beholden to having a twist. They introduced this new idea, which is like, what if it's enough to just deal with these apes? And it found a really compelling angle. And so that's all to say, like, maybe they will here too. But I just don't know, because like, I think you're right, which is like I don't know. They made a bunch of shitty sequels, so someone was watching them. But I guess I hope they don't think like they're beholden to another twist or something like that. How could they be, right? Because they've done prequels where the twist is obvious. Like we can't reveal that it was Earth anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If it's the same producers, I don't know. I didn't look into who's making this. All I can say is if it's the same people making Dawn and War, like it might turn out pretty good. But on paper, I am kind of like
pretty good.
I'm not sure.
Like what finale? That's the thing. Like if
right.
The only good thing about the original Planet of the Apes is the reveal that it's Earth. So if all of the prequels are working backwards from that reveal, what's the fucking point?
Well, it's a totally different story they're telling, at least in Dawn and War. Like, again, it's more about...
No, it's not. It's still about how any society with the same intelligence inevitably gets to the same conclusion. That's the point.
Yeah, I guess. But then that means that they can tell that story without the twist, right?
I mean, you always... Like, that's the only place it can end, right? Like, for it to be the satire, I guess, that it was, is just, like, the idea was, like, even reduced to its most basic form, the spark of intelligence will inevitably lead to self-destruction. That's Planet of the Apes.
Right. Yeah, I think they might tell that story again, just without the twist. I said.
So my argument is, what's the point if you don't have that twist? Like, if it doesn't build to that, what's the fucking point? Just a planet of monkeys, and that's cool. it's cool to watch them fight like monkeys. Like, it's a stupid movie in that way.
You should definitely watch Dawn and War at least, because those don't have twists either, but they are covering the same idea, right? And they're covering versions of it and how, how we. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't want to I don't want to dig in it too much because I just don't know how exact the message was, but it was basically that idea around us destroying ourselves and about how we treat other species, and I don't know. Again, that's what I'm saying is they managed to make two movies in this world that didn't really need some sort of twist or didn't need that, and so it's interesting that they've gone all the way back around to these Cheston movies, but they could probably find something new to say with that. I'm just not sure what it's going to be. And I don't even know if it's the same people making this, because it's also 7 years later from the last one they made.
Yeah.
It's not going to involve Caesar.
That's what I'm saying. What's the progression? It's a prequel, so we know it's just going to lead to the apes becoming men, and then the apes nuking the world.
Right.
That's the whole
apes,
point.
It looks like the idea is the apes are already at that point now. I think that's the idea. Like you said, it's the Cheston.
It's
at this
the
point
Cheston
where humans aren't talking anymore. That's the thing that kind of worries me.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure if they'll be able to pull it off. Because they did this Caesar arc in the other three, where it's we're gonna watch this one ape kind of rise up and accidentally cause this horrible apocalypse. And now they're kind of saying in this trailer, this girl, she's special. And I'm like, well,
she's just bright eyes. She's just Cheston.
Right. You can't just do the reverse that she's Caesar too. That's the thing, where it's are we just going to keep passing this back and forth the special person?
We are, because if you're making prequels and sequels based on an original property, you don't have any new ideas. You're just ripping it from what was in the original text.
It's really hard because
it's not always the case, but that's clearly the case here. I recognize that Matt Reeves is a good filmmaker and that those two movies are probably good, but
they are.
This whole franchise is creatively bankrupt to me.
Well,
because we already know where it leads. It leads to the original Planet of the Apes, which is a classic, and it's a classic for one reason.
So going back to the idea of Aliens, Terminator, why do we make sequels? That's kind of my confusion with this. I'm amazed that Dawn and War were as good as they were, because I don't really know. We're going to talk about Wicked coming up, and I have the same view where I'm well, how do you make a lot of these? There's nowhere to go with this. You're saying, Planet of the Apes was a single cautionary film.
Yeah.
You know what you can make sequels to, Tom?
Let's move on.
Twister.
You can make sequels to Twister, and this is a trailer for Twisters, which is not a sequel to Twister.
Yeah, it is.
It is, but it's not. They have been very emphatic about that.
Wait, hold on. I have to assume that the young woman in this is the daughter of Bill Paxton and Helen
Warner
Hunt.
Brothers has been very emphatic that this movie, despite being titled Twisters and being an explicit sequel to 1996's Twister, does not connect to that film in any way.
None of the characters. We're not going to get any son of...
Nope.
Okay, so here. All right. So you know how Friday the 13th has new kids every time?
Yeah.
Well, you could argue that
it also
the sky...
has Jason every time.
That's what I'm getting to. You can argue the sky is the same, right? It's Twisters. The Twisters are... They're the same. That's Jason.
The trailer does end with Glenn Powell being you can kill a Twister.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait for Glenn Powell.
To be clear, this movie looks incredible. It looks like Twister all over again, just with Glenn Powell instead of Bill Paxton. But that's also my complaint, is that it just looks like Twister all over again with Glenn Powell.
I don't know why that's a complaint, Tom.
Glenn Powell, first of all. The complaint is because they're calling it a sequel to Twister at the same time as saying that it does not connect to the original movie at all. So it really is just them re-rolling the original Twister movie. And just be let's just do it again with different characters and a slightly different story.
Yeah. I don't care. I mean, that's the thing. As long as it's done in the style of Twister, which it looks like. Glenn Powell, I've talked about, has asshole pilot face. He clearly has asshole tornado hunter face.
An assassin with his physical acting. Like, he has the perfect face for ruggedly handsome dipshit. And that gets him so much ground, Dave. Like, he can be in every movie.
And he's perfect for this. He's absolutely perfect for this. And then from what I can tell...
He's such a handsome asshole. He's so great at it. Yeah. He's so great at being a handsome asshole.
What I can tell is he's the rival / romantic interest, it seems like. Like, they seem like he's kind of the jerk rival, but then, I don't know, there's clearly a ragtag team where they're like, we got twins! There's a fucking... And it feels like there's a horse, Tom, and it looks like they're just basically, they sat down and said, what can we put a tornado in? Like, oh, have we done a plane in a tornado? No, let's add a plane to the tornado. And so, to me, it seems like they've done everything that the original Twister had. Like, I've seen a little bit of reverence for Twister, and Twister's a great movie, don't get me wrong. I saw some people comparing, like, this trailer to the original trailer, and it's like, yeah, I mean, trailers suck now. But as far as I can tell, this is as Twister can get for a sequel. Yeah. Like, it has all the bullshit, and, like, Twister's a dumb movie. Like, the original is a very dumb movie, right?
Yes.
They see the inside of a tornado because they attach themselves to pipes. There's a part where Bill Paxton looks at dirt and, like, sprinkles it. Like, he can sense the wind in the dirt. That they have this idea that, like, tornadoes just speak to him, man. It's a profoundly dumb movie that we have a lot of nostalgia for. And I can't I don't know. I'm all in with this.
The fact that they're just doing it again is, like, really bold to me.
Yeah, they're just like, let's do it again. But it's Twisters. If they're doing the Aliens.
But Aliens was connected to the original Alien.
Yeah, I know. I just mean in the title.
Yeah. I mean, this movie,
need it connected.
I'm going to watch the fuck out of this movie. I'm going to celebrate this movie. I will probably watch this movie multiple times.
Yeah, of course.
Glenn Powell is great. He's the king of dipshit characters.
I have a
I love that they're like, let's cast a storm chaser that you don't know about. Let's cast him as Glenn Powell because he has the face of an asshole.
Yeah. I have a controversial opinion.
Yeah.
I actually think more sequels could be like that. An example that also has Glenn Powell, and I'm not saying they should have done this because obviously they shouldn't.
It's not controversial. It's just Jaws.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Jaws, or like, say they made a new Top Gun without Tom Cruise. Does Tom Cruise really have to be in Top Gun? They did it because that's the only way it was going to get made because Tom Cruise was pushing for it. But you know what I mean? Where it's like, you can do a movie where it's like they're connected because they're about the same idea. Like, there's must be other examples.
There
right?
are some movies you can do for sure. Top Gun is a weird example because Top Gun is such a Tom Cruise movie. But I agree with you that there are some movies you could do this premise with very easily. I don't think
Top Gun in a vacuum.
I don't think Twister is one of them.
I don't know because say you do the Jaws thing where the Brody family keeps encountering sharks. I guess with Twister it's a little more. I kind of like that idea for this because, like, a family of tornado hunters, they're seeking it out, and then it's very funny.
Well,
they should continue the idea. Remember the idea that Helen Hunt has like a personal rivalry,
vendetta against a tornado that ripped her dad out of the cellar.
And the tornado's going after her family. You could do that here. You could continue it where it's her daughter.
Yeah, you could.
I'm surprised to hear. I assumed that it had to be just, there'd be a line about how my parents were tornado hunters and they died, and their name was Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt.
Researching spiders in the Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm genuinely surprised she's not the daughter of those characters.
Yeah, no, I just think it's a very cynical cash grab for Hollywood.
Just
write Twister again differently and cast new people, call it a sequel, and throw it out there.
Yeah.
It's very cynical.
Compared to the cynical shit that Hollywood's doing, I'm all in on this. Like, we haven't had 20 Twisters. Maybe someday we will, and I'll get sick of it. But right now, like, this is actually, if we're going to get sequels and stuff, it's the director of Minari, which is amazing to me. Like, it's the writer of Overlord and The Revenant.
The other thing I was going to say is that, like, is it going to be as exciting now? Because, like, 1996, Twister was pushed as an effects movie. So it was a lot of digital effects that were, side by side with practical stuff. But, like, everything we've seen in the trailer is just, like, stuff that we've seen in superhero movies. So it's like, how awed are you going to be by a tornado ripping things apart? Like, if you've already seen General Zod do the same fucking thing 10 years ago.
Mean, depends on how they film it, right? How odd are you about a T-Rex scene if you've seen it a million times? If it's shot with tension.
I gotta tell you, Dave, I haven't given a fuck about a T-Rex scene for 30 years.
Well, that's because they haven't tried. But, like, if it's shot with tension...
I don't think this movie is trying.
I mean, I just think that's a very cynical view where it's like, you could say that about anything, right? Like a gunfight, how you've seen a million gunfights in movies. Does that mean you're less affected by them over time? It depends on how they're filmed, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if this is filmed well, a tornado is a big deal. The original Twister makes that movie so good is that it's just tornadoes. And it's like, look at these tornadoes. They're a fucking problem. And when I go back and watch them, it isn't any more fun than it was when I first watched it.
It's just the storm. That's an issue.
Right. And
okay, sorry.
And so, like, watching this, I'm seeing things like they're adding planes, they're adding windmills, they're adding shit that looks interesting. It really just, for me, comes down to the fact that it's got a good filmmaker, a good writer, a good cast. I don't know. I think this is the right direction. I don't think anybody was begging for a Twister sequel as opposed to, like, Jurassic World. Like, Jurassic World is way more cynical to me than this.
Well, I don't think it's any more cynical, but I do think this is the Twister is way less tapped than Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah,
because it's way less obvious. But let's move on.
All right, Wicked.
This looks
very
bad.
Little.
This looks bad. I don't care about this show. Like, it's the same feeling I had about Phantom of the Opera when Joel Schumacher put out his Phantom of the Opera back in 2003 or 2004. It was one of those things where it was like, really, now, like 20 years after the stage show has premiered. It's the same thing for Wicked. It's been about 20 years since the stage show premiered for Wicked. And it's like you pointed out in the notes, The Wizard of Oz is a hard sell for people. Like, it's in the public domain, so it's very popular for a lot of writers, but, like, who gives a fuck?
I think it was smart. They have what's her name in this? Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
I think they knew that because I think they stuck her in because they like. I feel like they're going for the musical thing and they're going for good performers. Jeff Goldblum's in there as the wizard.
He sure is.
Because I feel like I'm very confused about why we keep insisting upon making Wizard of Oz things, you know?
Well, yeah.
Because it's like Planet of the Apes, where I feel like it's like, I just don't see a huge franchise here. This isn't for me.
The reason is because it's public domain, so if it does take off, they can franchise it without... That's the only reason.
Yeah.
I do have one note about this movie.
What's that?
It's something that's been it's something that has bothered me about a few things. Primarily Maleficent, but like, if you've read Wicked or seen the show, you know that it's not actually the story of the Wizard of Oz, right? It's like
It's a reimagining.
It has to completely rewrite it. Like, it's not the way that Wicked sells itself is this is the story between the lines. You know, like, this is everything you didn't see about the Wicked Witch, and this is how you can be more sympathetic to her. If you saw the story, like, the premise of Wicked is that this is the Wizard of Oz from the Wicked Witch's point of view. It's not that. It's a completely different story. It's like Maleficent, where if you've seen Maleficent, like, the king is evil, like, he subjugates Maleficent. It's this whole fucking thing. And in Wicked, it's the same thing, where, like, the Wicked Witch of the West is actually a good person, and she's been subjugated, and all this crap. So they have to completely rewrite the story. So it's like...
Yeah, it's not
this...
It's not clever.
No, that fundamentally kind of ruins it for me. It may not be the same for you. So
that's a great point because
you in general. So I'm doing my best to lay it out like as evenly as possible. But like, it's not the Wizard of Oz from the point of view of the Wicked Witch. It's a completely rewritten story in order to make the Wicked Witch sympathetic.
That's a good point because these don't work on me personally, and I wonder if that has to do with it. Which is like, for example, I know Crack did this. A bunch of people have done like, oh, the Good Witch was secretly the villain all along. We did a thing about that. We didn't say the Wicked Witch was secretly good. We just said the Good Witch was kind of a dick, right? And you could make that observation, but by saying like actually the Wicked Witch was good, they have to change the events to make it seem that way. It's
not even that like the Wicked Witch was good or the Wicked Witch was like tragic. They are trying to position the Wicked Witch as being the hero of the story, so they completely rewrite the Wizard of Oz for Wicked.
I didn't see Cruella, but I assume that's similar.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and like I'm on two minds about this, which is that I think it is good to show morality as more of a gray thing and not just paint people as evil. And that it's a very fun and positive idea to go back and look at old villains and go like, let's give them redemption or find a way. That said, I don't know. Maybe it's just because none of these stories are ones that I was personally into. Like I haven't seen a movie like that spoke to me, I guess. Or has said anything about that.
Well,
but I'm also like, I'm not a Wizard of Oz fan. I'm not a 101 Dalmatians fan. I'm not a Maleficent fan. So like, it's all to say like, that's a neat idea. I just haven't had one made for me personally. It just,
the more that they do them, it just really seems to me that they're just like trying to give like shitty people like an out. Like it's like, well, you know how you like did that blow up at your baby shower and fucking lost all your friends? Well, it turns out you're just like Maleficent. Like it.
Right, but and also in order to do it, they just make the good characters bad.
Right, it's rewriting the stories for terrible people.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, I have thought of a movie that does this well, because that's the issue. Is a lot of these they just reverse it, right? They go like, actually, the wizard's bad and she's good. Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, does a good job at giving redemption to the stepsisters, while still trying, like, they still don't go above and beyond. They still make the stepmother evil. But like that's a version of them trying to go back and say like they don't make the stepsisters good and Cinderella evil. They just find humanity in these characters. And so like, I see what you're talking about, which is basically they just flip it. That's all they're doing. And like, that's not particularly interesting, I guess. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen Wicked.
I think I was really disappointed by Wicked. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, it's just like it's its own thing. Like it's a what if, basically. It's an Elseworld story, essentially.
It's John Chu. It's the director of G.I. Joe Retaliation.
That's fine. So. But it's not what was written. Like it's just anyway. Let's move on.
No, I get what you're saying. I haven't had a story that it's.
If I wanted to make
me.
a story about the Little Mermaid, I was like, you know what? I want to do a story where Ursula is sympathetic, and I completely changed the story of Little Mermaid to make it like Ariel like demanded that Ursula take her voice and like thrust it upon her. And like,
right, it's not clever.
Shanghaied Prince Eric and all this shit. Like that's what Maleficent does. That's what Wicked does. Like they have to make the good characters evil in order for their story to work. And it's like, what's the fucking point?
Right.
If that's the case.
It's not clever.
No, it's not
like,
at all.
oh, did you notice this? It's like, it's that idea of like, yeah, if you make this person evil, isn't it neat how this person's actually evil?
Yep.
Did you notice they're evil?
And that's how all of this shit works. Yeah, it's how all of it works. It's because you made him. Yeah, it's because you made him evil. Cool.
Yeah. This next one apparently is a TV show. This is coming to Netflix. This is Bandidos. This is a fucking. It appears to be so. It involves, I guess, a snake king's treasure. Mayan snake. It's a Spanish language comedy action supernatural treasure hunting heist. Did I get that right? That's what I got from the trailer, and I'm so fucking in on this, on whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah,
this looks delightful.
This looks good. This
it's
looks
like weirdly supernatural.
Maybe Ocean's 11 with a little bit of supernatural hint to it. I don't know. Check out the trailer. It definitely has the tone of like an Ocean's 11.
Well, that's what's funny about it is like it had a little like they're going for Mayan treasure. So I was like treasure hunting. Oh yeah, and then it like fucking national treasure. But then it's like we're a group and we're pulling something off. Like it's like almost heisty. At the same time, it's like Uncharted. Where it's like a little bit of heist, a little bit of treasure hunting, a little funny. We're jumping out of planes. And so, like, I don't know. There's something about this tone that is kind of delightful and insane. Because on top of it, the first thing you see is a snake woman. And I don't know if that's supposed to be, like, someone's imagination, a flashback. I don't know what that is. But now I know it has to do with Mayan snake, a snake god's treasure. So, like, now it's like a little like The Mummy, you know, where it's like it feels like, oh, they're going to stumble upon some sort of curse. Yeah. And so, like, it's a lot of things that all weirdly kind of mesh well that I'm excited for. And I don't know. It's like, on Netflix. It's a series.
Yeah. Like, it is genuinely kind of hard to tell how crazy it's going to get.
Yeah.
Because we don't know whether or not like the God stuff is like visions or something, you know?
Right. It's the Netflix did a good job with this trailer because I'm not certain what the fuck I saw, but boy, did I see a lot. And so I'm super fucking curious about whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about the creator because he's done a bunch of Spanish language stuff. Apparently what the director of at least one of the episodes, or maybe a couple, did Rambo Last Blood and the Black Demon. Remember the Black Demon?
I do, yes. The shark movie? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
This looks like it looks like a Ocean's 11 movie. Like it genuinely looks good.
But more unhinged somehow.
Yes, more demented.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Late Night with the Devil. This is, I've been hearing about this for a while. It's getting a lot of hype. It's a lot of, if you've seen the WNUF Halloween special, you might look at this and go, hey, you're doing the WNUF Halloween special. It's the idea of like, it's a found footage of a 1970s live television broadcast where it appears that a possessed girl is on stage and the devil shows up. It's got Polka Dot Man.
David Dastmalchian.
Yep. It looks good.
It looks good. I have heard This has been on the festival circuit for a little bit. I have heard that this movie is not actually very successful in executing its premise.
Yeah, that's interesting. We covered the WNUF special.
We did, which was another. It was an example of WNUF Halloween special. You guys can go back and look for it. It was very, very well executed. It looked perfectly like a news broadcast from the 80s. It just wasn't very good. Like, it wasn't very interesting, and the story wasn't good.
It was one where it was like I was rooting for it, and I was sad that it didn't really wow me. Like a VHS segment might, like that's actually every time I watch a VHS, I'm rooting for it because I want it to be the next like Timo Tejano thing, like the next cult thing, but they don't always
Resident Evil thing that he did in, what was it, 94?
Yeah. But this has the same idea where this feels like it could have been a VHS segment actually, and I'm rooting for it because I really like the look at it. I like the idea. It seems like it could be a lot more a lot faster paced than WNUF. That was one of the issues with that one. But yeah, that's disheartening about the reviews. I mean, I'm still gonna have to see it for myself.
For sure. Should we move on?
Yeah, I guess I got nothing else to say about that.
It's very good. Watch it. Watch the trailer.
Yeah. So Cockoo is the next one. This has been on my radar for a while, and then it immediately blew up because Neon loves their fucking good marketing right now. I forget why this was on my radar originally, but the trailer is certainly well done. It's just two shots. It's like a girl going outside.
A girl walking through a door and pulling a knife out of her back.
I was going to say, and we know she's cool because she pulls a knife out and then it's a butterfly knife. She flips it around because she's cool.
I don't know anything about this movie other than that Hunter Schafer is the star, and people are very excited about that because she's a breakout on Euphoria.
Oh, okay.
But that's it.
The director hasn't done much. The director is fairly new. I forget. That's what I'm trying to remember is I've had this on my radar, and that means I must have read something. I think what it was is just it's been getting very good reviews. I think it's just I think it's just a very well made horror movie about this young girl who's apparently at a resort. They say it's the synopsis is a 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things are not what they seem. And I'm like, forced to move? Like, that's already weird. That's a weird ass premise.
Yeah, why would you be forced to move?
Right. Of course things aren't what they seem if you're forced to move there. That's a cult right there. But yeah, I just, again, we get two shots and the vibes are good. You know who's in this? Oh, this might have been why. Dan Stevens is in it.
Uh-oh.
And so
now we got a movie.
Exactly. So I think that's what maybe I flagged about this when I first looked at it.
Yeah, now we got to film.
Stevens.
Now we got to film.
Yeah.
I'm immediately way more interested in this than the next one.
Yeah, okay. So this next one's Sasquatch. What is it? Wait,
Sasquatch Sunset.
It's got Jesse Eisenberg. It's
and Riley Keough.
Yeah, and they all play Sasquatches. It feels like a Farley Brothers trailer. Like the actual trailer, they cut to Sasquatches just fucking each other in the woods. And I don't know, it didn't wow me. They're taking a very big swing here, so like
it's okay.
I hope
so
it works out.
This is essentially What We Do in the Shadows, right? It's a movie about Bigfoots, like a clan of Bigfoots, and what they do when we're not watching, and they're doing it in earnest, so they're trying to be like realistic Bigfoots.
Right.
Which is a good idea. Like, I think it's a good permutation of the What We Do in the Shadows idea, but like that idea has become so common, like the mundanity or the banality of being a supernatural creature is the hook of What We Do in the Shadows, and that has become very popular lately.
It's funny because it really speaks to how advanced our pop culture has gotten, because you're right, is that I saw this and I said, but what's the catch? Like, what's
the catch is they're being earnest, I think, because I had the same thought.
Enough.
I had the same thought, and I was prepared to explain it to our listeners. The catch appears to be in the trailer that they are doing it in earnest. So you are going to see Jesse Eisenberg as a Bigfoot, earnestly, without pretension, without thinking it's going to be a meme, trying to help his fellow Big Feets eat a fish or raise a shelter or something. And it's going to be stuff that's really fucking funny looking, but they're doing it. It's the one thing I can say positive about this movie, because like the idea, like I said, is just such a derivative of what we do in the shadows. It's like, okay, what else do you have? And this movie's like, this is what else we have. It's going to be, you're going to see these Big Feet earnestly interact with each other. So they're not doing it with like knowing that we're going to cut in 2 seconds. They're like gonna shake down trees for berries and try to find fish from a stream and try to build a shelter and stuff like that. So that is the thing that is giving me hope. Like if you do, because we already know what we do in the shadows thing. Like the mundanity of monsters is very funny. Like Creature of the Black Lagoon, like trying to get his fucking driver's license renewed is very funny.
Right.
So like this is just them trying to exist on a realistic level, but like also bringing in the realistic complications of that. I think this could be funny.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really think it's just it can go either way. Is really what I'm at now. Like, I think the trailer thought this was enough to show.
Right, it's not enough to just be like, funny. Well, it's Bigfoot's like being a family. It's like, yeah, we got it. Like that's
like
this
I
is
actually
on
need
TV
a little
right
more.
now. We need a little bit more. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but I bet it could end up really good. Like I just don't know based on this. There's a lot. There's a lot they can work with here. This idea of a family that's like semi-intelligent. They show a part where they're at a spray-painted X on a tree. So this idea of like showing, like there could be an environmental message. This idea that humans are more of this like, it could be Planet of the Apes. Like it could be this idea that humans are this terrible force around them,
right,
and they're more scared of us. There's a lot of ways they can go with this. It could go either way right now. But I'm very curious about it. I mean, it's. I think it's going to get a lot of people's attention, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I think maybe the marketing is enough right now for most people. It's just, for me, it's kind of like the fucking Late Night with the Devil, where I'm like, go on, like I'm interested. I want to hear what you have to say, but right. I don't know. Like something like The Art of Self-Defense is a movie which is tangentially related to this movie, but not really. The director was in that movie. That's a movie where I didn't have many expectations for, and then it surpassed my expectations. So this is definitely something that I want to check out. I didn't put on more hype because I think it's getting plenty of hype, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think so. I've seen people talking about it.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's talk. We got to thank some more producers. Let us do that.
Let's do it.
Big ol' slopping thank you to Davey, the ghost of East Las Vegas, Francis.
Thank you.
Thank you to David Knife Boot Henson. Thank you to Deborah is awesome, Barbara is great, and cancer can go to hell.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dracula, the bus driving vampire. Thank you to Driftless and his elephant army demanding you watch Lair of the White Worm. Thank you to Ed Nog.
Thank you.
Thank you to Exploding Rooms.
Thank you.
Thank you to Funky J Mostly Comes Out at Night.
Thank you.
Thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Thank you.
Thank you to Hey Tom. When are we getting a sequel to Stitches?
Thank you. Listen.
Get on it.
Listen, I've written one.
All right.
It's not a direct sequel to Stitches, but I've written one. Let me soup in here. Thank you to Ombre.
Thank you.
Thank you to ImpossibleWorlds.net. Issue 3 is out now. Gorge yourself on our fiction. Gorge!
Thank you.
Thank you to Jay the Crow Baron says, build a guillotine in Rich People's Yard 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you to Chris Yanovich.
Thanks.
Thank you to Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to Look Mom on a podcast.
Thanks.
Thank you to Mackenzie Fuck Shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick chill.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mercurial Oz.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mike the Lurker.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mongolian Throat Skanking.
Thank you.
Dave.
News stories.
Let's do some news stories.
We're getting a new Predator film from the director of Prey, who is also the guy who did 10 to Cloverfield Lane, which is all to say, yes.
Yeah, it's apparently going to be in the future, too.
Nice. So it's a completely different fucking setting.
Unrelated.
Thank you. Christ. Oh my God. Excited. I'm so glad they should have. So I hope they put this one out in theaters. That's the only thing they did wrong, as far as I'm concerned. I'm so glad that they saw this. They saw the reaction, went, all right, let's get more, and he's going to get more. And this guy seems to have the right idea, which is like, this doesn't have to be a big overarching plot, just different story. That's it.
Like, unlike the other things we were talking about earlier, this is a story that is just this. It's just the Predator landing and the Predator coming into contact with some person or group that it's hunting. Like, that's it. It's totally modular. Like putting him in the past was a thing we've been calling out for decades. So like Prey was an obvious thing to do, and then putting him in the distant future is like, do it.
Yeah, I like every Predator film, even Aliens vs. Predator.
Yeah.
Although I'm gonna say that Alien vs. Predator was the closest to straying off of this path, because the reason I like every Predator film is they're all wildly different. Like, I love that. I love that they're like, let's give fucking Robert Rodriguez a Predator film. Okay, now let's give one to fucking oh Jesus, his name just Shane Black. Let's give Shane Black a Predator film. All right, let's make that goofy as shit. That's awesome. Now let's do like a really gritty, cool one with Native Americans. Like, I love that they're just doing these wildly different Predator films. I think the problem is that the reason they're doing it is because they can't land on one. That's actually why they're doing it. You know what I mean? Where like the moment they find one that makes $1 billion, they'll just make 20 of those.
Of course. They're entertaining every Predator pitch they get.
Yes. They're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, and what they don't, I think, realize is that everything's sticking. I'm loving all of it. But I don't want them to stop. I don't want them to stop throwing shit at the wall.
No, me either. Keep doing it. Hell yeah.
Speaking of throwing shit at the wall, we have our Fantastic Four cast.
Yes. Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby as Invisible Woman. Joseph Quinn as Human Torch, who was the guy from Stranger Things, the most recent season. And I do not remember the name of the person who was cast to play the Thing, Dave.
Ebenos Bachrock?
Do it. Thank you.
As the Thing. Yeah, I mean, this seems like a good idea. You dump a bunch of money on Pedro Pascal's door, right? And you say, you're going to get people's attention. And then the rest are people who are good, but like they probably didn't pay them as much. And then I don't know. It's coming out July 25. I still kind of am like, I haven't really trusted Marvel to know what to do anymore.
No.
I watched I think I mentioned I watched The Marvels.
Yeah.
And I should note that movie is fine. That movie was very good, actually. And it's now on Disney Plus, so people can watch it themselves. The issue with The Marvels that I ran into was that it really ramped up the fatigue. And what I mean by that, it was just like, here's like crazy space worlds. You've seen them all before. Like they're in Thor, they're in Guardians. Let's do a scene where something wacky happens to music. And it's like, yeah, I know. I saw the Guardians movies. You know, like it was a lot of that where they're like, all right, and now let's do the very serious villain with the like cosmic powers, and let's do the post-credits weird cinematic universe open up tease. Like it was just so by the book that it was like, it was very charming, and the acting, like the actresses were particularly good, but the plot it's as cookie cutter as it can possibly get. And that's all to say that, like, it feels like Marvel, like, if they just crank this out, you know, like they just really need to change it up.
Yeah.
They really need to do something interesting and not superficially change it up, like really change it up somehow. So I'm just like, personally, like, I don't know. This
it was a weird,
but
it was a weird way to reveal the Fantastic Four casting. Like to dump it in a greeting card type format on Twitter,
right.
when Twitter is dying.
Yeah,
to reveal your A-list
That's
cast
actually...
for Fantastic Four. It was so like the biggest problem with Fantastic Four has been to convince audiences that it's cool, right? So like,
right.
If you're going to convince audiences that this casting is cool, maybe announce it in a cool way. Instead, they just kind of like dumped it on Twitter in this weird Valentine's Day greeting card.
Well, I think because they still are thinking about, like, they're still functioning like it's 10 years ago. Like, they're like, Twitter, that's popular, right? And it's like, no, you got to go on fucking TikTok or something, my friend. Like, that's what I mean is, like, and then there's this combination of, like, I don't even know who's directing it. And, like, I as a film nerd, like, that's one of those things Marvel has systematically taken away from me. Meaning that when they're like, oh, look, Sam Raimi's going to direct this, it's like, oh, that should be a little interesting. But they've kind of removed the ability for directors to really stand out. So I'm not really getting anything from that. So all I know is it's like, oh yeah, it's Marvel. We're gonna make this, you know, like I just need.
Yeah,
it would just be really cool if they are like, we're making a Fantastic Four movie and it's a completely different universe where it can be different. But like, you know, obviously, let's not make it gritty, but like, do something that makes me more excited about this, other than this is just another. We're slotting this into the cinematic universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they're
like
never going to do that.
Eternals was going to be that big thing, and it's like, I know this is going to be their next flagship, or hopefully.
They're never going to do that.
Yeah.
So let's slide on into this little mud pie of producers.
Wait,
yes.
Okay. I didn't know where you were going with that. That really, I got nervous. I like started standing up.
I was going to try to skip over them. Oh,
I see.
Because I forgot.
Oh, okay.
In this moment. So let us know about some producers, Dave.
All right. Big thank you to Mr. Tell Your Wife how many Patreon subscriptions you have before you agree to buy a house. Thank you. Thank you to musical guest, the Ludachristmas Children's Choir.
Thank you.
Thank you to No One Can Hear You Scream in Space McNulty.
Thank you.
Thank you to Norm from Cheers.
Thank you, Norm.
Thank you to Pete Forpagel.
Thank you.
They get a Numino ultramicroscopic silical volcano coniosis anti-disestablishmentarianism Jones. I have all the long ones now. Thank you to pre-order TikTok superstar Jason Pargin's new standalone ticking clock thriller and dark satire called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rev MD.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Ricky Cilantro.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead. Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid.
Thank you.
Thank you to Sorry Cop, world's most laughable centrist.
Thank you. All right, let me swoop in here. Thank you to Steven.
Thank you.
Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of baby's head.
Thank you.
Thank you to the ghost of Dave Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to the Midnight Patron with patrons at midnight.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Oatmeal Savage.
Thank you.
Thank you to the To Be Terror Bunny says the strikes may be over, but egg David Zaslav for fun and profit.
Thank you.
Thank you to these 7 Bs.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tiger Drawers Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tip Drizzle.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tux.
Thank you.
Thank you to Vincent.
Thank you.
Thank you to Why Didn't You Take a Flying Fuck at the Moon?
Thank you.
And thank you to your mom.
Thank you.
Dave.
Woo!
We've come to the end of things. We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
You and I need to cut loose. We need to flee this place. But before we can do that, I need to ask you if you have a movie that deserves more hype.
Oh. Let me check. Yeah, I do.
Son of a bitch!
I had to check real quick. I have this one just fell in my lap. Hold on. I'm going to check the trailer. Oh, it's still not that. More people should be watching. It still needs more hype, but it's creeping up. It's not at 100K. This is called The Beast. It is not related to Marvel or the X-Men. It's coming out April 5th. So yeah, that's a few months from now. There's time for it to get more hype, but it doesn't have more hype yet.
Ooh.
This movie is very confusing. I'm going to struggle to explain it. From the reviews, which is getting very good reviews, it is a combination of the best I can make of it is if Cronenberg, I don't care which one, either Cronenberg made Cloud Atlas, or like it's kind of like The Fountain a little bit. The year is 2044, which is a hilariously soon year that I feel like they took on purpose, and AI is apparently running society. I know this sounds stupid, and it is, but I think it's kind of supposed to be silly. And humans erase their feelings, but not just their regular feelings, but like existential pain caused by their past lives. So it's a little Eternal Sunshine as well, where they go into a machine and they live out their past life, these emotional moments. And so the movie is a woman doing that, and it takes place during several realities. Old-timey, and like there's one in 1903. It's an adaptation of a 1903 short story, The Beast in the Jungle. But one of them definitely takes in 1910. That's when it takes place. Sorry, I got my dates mixed up.
Sure.
One of them's apparently like a sci-fi. One of them's like a horror movie. One's a romance. Like all the different eras are different styles. I've seen it compared a little bit to Mulholland Drive or Funny Games. If you watch the trailer, you'll kind of see why it's like this. This sounds like something that could have been like a really cheesy, shitty, like made for streaming film. Yeah. But this is like an art house Cronenberg-y, fucking freaky ass. There's apparently a flood in a doll factory, and it makes some insane imagery. Like this movie looks fucking gorgeous.
It looks great.
Yeah, the director is I don't remember who the director is. Bertrand Bonello? Is that how?
Bonello, okay.
Bertrand Bonello, who I think has done he's done a lot of stuff. Fuck. So he's been around. I feel like some people might recognize that name. He did a movie called Zombie Child. He does weird art house things, it looks like. And this just you watched the trailer, right? What'd you think of this?
I thought this movie looked pretty good.
Yeah, it looks fucking weird.
I think I like that it's attempting to show us a relationship through 3 different time periods and 3 different permutations and 3 different probabilities. It seems to be what the movie is offering. No, I'm into this.
Yeah, it's doing something that I've seen other movies do, but it looks like it's its own take on it. And I love how weird whenever these movies happen. Like even Cloud Atlas is weird.
Oh, it's super weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'd say The Fountain is the closer one of what I'm looking at, because it's about this relationship across timelines and stuff, and these past lives intertwining. But again, it looks darker than that. Like I said, the tone changes. Like there's definitely, if you watch the trailer, you can sense it where you're like, why does some of this look like a horror movie? And that's because apparently it is. So what I'm reading is it's a classic period romance, a horror thriller, and a dystopian sci-fi are the 3 stories.
Okay.
And that somehow somehow the movie embraces that disconnect and manages to kind of interweave them in a satisfying emotional way.
It's like getting beat up on a Greyhound bus. But all right.
Know.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm so into that. The idea that they're going to do this thing that crosses genres.
Well, let's be hyped about it and be done, Dave.
All right. We did it.
It's The Beast. Look at the trailer.
Absolutely look it up. Maybe put the date 2023 to get the right thing, because there has to be the Beasts, right?
Well,
There's
yeah, it was a show. There was a miniseries. Anyway, that's a sewed, motherfucker!
Woo!
Woo!
Oh, yeah!
We did it, Dave!
We did it.
Folks, did it. It was a sewed.
Thank you so much for listening. I want to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. GAMEFULLY. Unemployed. You go on there. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. We've now moved the time, so we watch at 5 p.m. Pacific, which is 8 o'clock Eastern. And we do that through our Discord, which we have a wonderful community. We also have exclusive podcasts. Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. Fox Mulder is a Maniac. Star Trek The Next Futurama. Spiel Boys. Check them all out. Why don't you now do that today?
Hey, we also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com. We can find a link to our Teespring store where you have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs. You can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap weird-ass peepers onto that. I was trying to pull it. I couldn't do it.
Reincarnated peepers.
Slap your beastly peepers onto that. There we go.
Yeah, your big meaty
beastly
peepers. Swollen. You're swollen. You're swollen, nutty peepers.
All right, Dave. Let's be done. Let's be done. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. You can find more of his artwork at instagram.com/mvbramleyart. Our episode artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.